Greetings and salutations, my fellow primates. It's Dustin Michelli, back again with Press Monkey Independent Media, and Press Monkey Media, PressMonkeyMedia.com, and like our page on Facebook at Press Monkey and Press Monkey Independent Media as well. Also, leave comments or suggestions for stories or what have you in our comment section on YouTube, and we'll try to get to some of those and respond to you. I wanted to preface my news story here by reminding everybody, a little over a year ago, yours truly, Dustin Michelli, had written an article. This article was called Bye Bye Bernie, The People's Revolution Placebo. Now, I know this article upset a lot of people back then, because essentially what it is that I did in this article was I made the case that as a former supporter of Bernie Sanders, someone who was a supporter of his and volunteer of his during the campaign, during the primary campaign, I cannot see any good reason why he should be the leader of any credible movement at this point or another. And I made this case in my article, and I'll give a link to the article. I'll give you a refresher on some of my other reasonings for that. One of them being that the Democratic Party had had in fact rigged the primary against him, and he never held them accountable for that. And in fact, he never said that they had rigged the primary against him. He followed their advice and footsteps and decided to scapegoat Russia instead for everything. This is ridiculous, and I don't want to go through the whole thing again. If you would like, I'll relink my article, Bye Bye Bernie, The People's Revolution Placebo, and it can be found on my site on Press Monkey Independent Media or PressMonkeyMedia.com. Let me see, when did I date this? This was back in June 25th, 2017 when I actually wrote this article and published it. But I wanted to actually, it's just a preface because of a recent article by the Associated Press in our local newspaper, Glenwood Post Independent, that talks about Bernie Sanders is stumps for Jared Polis in Boulder. Now, I've got a couple issues with this. The first of all is this is another way for Bernie Sanders to sheepdog for non-progressive Democrats who are wealthy, and I don't want to get too back into the Bernie Sanders thing because honestly I feel like he's a dead horse. Anything behind him is a dead horse. You know, first he was a scapegoat, and you know, first he was a sheepdog, then he was a scapegoat, and then he's a dead horse. I don't know what else to say about Bernie besides that. Him stumping in Boulder stumping in Boulder for Polis is just absurd on the face of it, especially since they're so vastly different in their policies about so many things. But I'm not going to get too caught up in the Bernie Sanders aspect of it. I do want to talk again about Jared Polis because it's the state that I live in here in Colorado. Here in Colorado, we have Jared Polis running against Colin Wilhelm, the Republican challenger for the seat of governor, actually has only donated $1 million, only $1 million, folks, to his own campaign. I'm not really sure how much else he's taken in from various donors outside of that. I'm sure it's probably a lot if he's able to compete on any level with Jared Polis, though it does not look like the majority of the money that's been put into this race has come from his side of the camp. Jared Polis has put in almost $20 million of his own money, more money than most working class people in the state of Colorado, will make in their entire lives for his bid for governor. The governorship for Colorado only pays about $90,000 a year. It begs one to wonder how much or how it is he intends to recoup these losses. And why is it you're doing this? How much power is enough for you? How much influence is enough for you? You've made your money. The one thing that I can say about Jared Polis that is a positive is that we don't have to worry about who his donors are, because there's only really one of them. It's Jared Polis. Jared Polis is Jared Polis's biggest donor, and that's becoming more and more obvious as we go. And his lack of ability to really stand up for working class values, and especially those working class values that want to protect our environment and protect our lands and our air, and we do want to do away with fracking. He's incorrect about that. It's not too extreme. Proposition 112 is not too extreme. It's something that is not extreme enough, and it's long overdue. We need to start looking into different ways of doing all of this stuff, and not subsidizing and continuously using the extraction and fossil fuel industry is going to be a step in that direction. It's the only way we're going to be able to mitigate our pollution problem. Forget the climate change problem overall. Our pollution problem needs to be mitigated. So that's the direction that I think that we need to go, but Jared Polis does not agree with that. In fact, Mr. Polis thinks that that's too extreme. Now, I don't know about anybody else. Now, what I think is a little too extreme and a little bit odd is that at one time, Jared Polis had voted for a lot of things that I would totally stand behind. I would totally be with him, including I think there are many issues that he's about that I am also for. But at the same time, it's hard for me to say that somebody that moneyed and willing to throw that much money at a political campaign without much reflection about it, without much explanation about it. It's hard for me to believe that these people can really have our best interests in mind and hearts, or even if they think that they do, their disconnected behavior in spending more money than most of us can really fathom. Most of us are $500 away from catastrophe financially. Most of us are a small accident away, losing our job for 2 weeks away from, bankruptcy or homelessness. So anybody who's willing to donate this kind of money, to their own campaign for a job that does not pay the amount of money that's going to recoup it in any way legitimately, begs some real scrutiny, in my opinion, and does not necessarily earn our vote, despite being the so-called opposition to the Trump MAGA party. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up on the new Jared Polis, the new Jared Polis doings, and Bernie Sanders again. Irrelevant to me at this point that he's up there, except for that it's kind of annoying at this point. We should be saying bye bye Bernie, which is the name of, though it's spelled B-U-Y, Bye Bye Bernie, the People's Revolution Placebo. My article on Press Monkey Independent Media. And again, I have no intention of voting for many of these Democrats, almost any of them. The only one who I really intend to vote for is our incumbent county clerk and recorder, Jean Albuquerque. I think that she's been a great resource here in the community and continues to be. So On the smallest levels, that's who I'd be willing to throw my weight behind, but in my vote behind. Anybody else so far has not proven to me that they're much different from their Republican counterparts, so they will not be getting my vote. And that's the end of this segment of my cast. I'm going to take a really quick break, and I'll come right back with you with a few more aspects of this cast, and this might end up a half-hour cast, might end up a full-hour cast. We'll see how it goes. So we'll be returning shortly, and thanks for tuning in. And we are back from our second part of the cast, our Press Monkey Independent Media. This is Dustin Michelli here with you once again. I'm going to talk about the new current talk of the day is the pipe bombs that have been found. Many have been mailed to several different people: George Soros, Cory Booker, Hillary Clinton, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, just to name a few. Recently, James Clapper, Barack Obama, and other very well-known Democrats and neoliberal moguls. I don't want to go too far with talking about this because it's the more we find out about this that's happening, the more dubious it sounds, and so I'm going to go even out on a limb and say that this seems to be another hoax on some level or another. And I say that because so far, even an embassy report has admitted that many of these bombs could have been duds and had no potential of actually exploding whatsoever. So they were poorly built at very least. It seems like whoever did this, was not really intending to hurt anybody. They were trying to not hurt anybody, just scare people, which tends to work. It has worked. You say, why would they do this? Why would they do such a thing? I say it's pretty obvious. Once again, it's not the first time they've tried to shore up support and use emotional manipulation to shore up support, to elicit some support on an emotional level, to elicit some support and basically bring people back into the fold. When people start getting tired of the duopoly and start questioning how relevant this way of doing thing is, it seems like every time we start doing that, everybody starts questioning how they're going to vote and how we're going to do this. They find a way to shore up everybody and try to scare everybody into voting for one of the two, whatever is the weakest duopoly party. I hate this because it's like every time they do this, I have to run interference with it because I see through it. I see through the bullshit. I don't believe that this is happening sometimes. And I think that this is one of the situations that could be another false flag. It could simply be a matter of them setting this up to elicit victimhood, to elicit more support for the establishment and for these people that everybody has been raising their eyebrows at for some years now and have come into the public attention, and people are realizing that they're not all that they're cracked up to be. So the bomb scares, and that's all you can really call them at this point, are and it also can serve another purpose. They also, because of going through the mail and because of so many ballots going through the mail, this could give them a reason to scrutinize the mail a little bit more as the government than they typically even already do, which isn't very much. But who knows how much they actually manipulate our mail. They certainly have the ability to do so, but begs the question, are they trying to figure out a way to make it to where they can even be more manipulative with our mail because of this, and potentially even use that to repress votes by stealing ballots? I don't know. I just don't know. But it seems fishy, to say the very least. We've had a lot of false flags recently, and people are willing to jump on one side or the other. Brett Kavanaugh, Dr. Ford thing was an example of that. And I think that people need to be just a little bit more skeptical when listening to the mainstream narratives and the breathlessness and the sensationalism of it all. Not just a little bit more skeptical. We need to be a lot more skeptical, obviously. So this is takes me to the end of this report. We'll maybe come back to this as more things come available, as more information comes out. We'll touch back upon this again. We'll see exactly what's happening. But like I said, I believe that this could be another false flag. I can be wrong, and I'll totally put that out there as well. It seems like a false flag. It seems like another setup so they can shore up some support that they're losing, because the Democrats are having a hard time differentiating themselves from the Republican Party, and they need to stay in power somehow or another, or stay viable for them to continue to run their false duopoly controlled opposition game on us, and without our votes, it's the only thing that keeps them there is our votes. And a lot of my fellow journos or truth bringers are saying that votes don't matter, voting doesn't matter. I'm going to have to beg to differ on this, or they wouldn't go out of their way so much to try to manipulate us and try to prevent us from voting, or scare us from voting, or make us believe that it doesn't matter. So on local issues, I know that it does, and I'm going to leave you all with that. We're going to swing back in a little bit later and give you some more reports on some other breaking news, but we're going to put this under our hats for the time being, and we'll get back to you. So once again, good fellows, peace, activism, and bananas.
All right.